Welcome to the Loyal Locals podcast. Oh, we had somebody flash up there. Hope you were looking. If you're here watching with us on YouTube, welcome. And if you're here listening, I got my buddy Esteban, El Presidente of the Locals. How's it going, Steve Brockhoff, man?
Good, man. Good. Despite the current form, I'm in good spirits.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Super excited for tonight.
Yeah, we've got a great show here. We've got some good, good content for you loyal fans and locals. This is somebody you've never met before. We can guarantee you that. That's what's going to be fun. Somebody you have met before and you do know as the man who puts a camera on us sometimes and turns the lens towards us, but today the lens is turned on him. Tony Sanchez, our producer tonight. What's up, man?
How's it going? Thank you for letting me into this humble abode of yours.
Yeah, bud.
Always welcome. Always welcome in these spaces.
Yeah,
Salud.
It's not just a Steve and a Drew going back and forth. You can break us up a little bit here tonight and give us a nice soundtrack. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So like Drew said, our guest tonight is Travis, with the new VP of Marketing and Communications with the club.
Steve. Jeez.
Nah. I'm gonna break this down a little bit. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna break down the game, the last couple games, and then we're gonna preview the upcoming match, and then we'll jump right into getting to know Travis. So we're really excited for that. But stick with us for kind of a recap here, and then a little bit of a preview, and from there we'll jump into getting to know our newest front office member.
Yeah, we had a couple weeks off from doing shows specifically, and we didn't do some of our shows in person or live like this. We did some recorded on the road shows, which was pretty fun, and some reaction shows as well. One of the things that we did at those shows, specifically, I think the last podcast, we maybe drank a lot more beer than we do normally. But what are you guys drinking tonight? Steve, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Golsch. My good friend Jordan got this beer for me from Three Punks, and it's a very, very good beer. Little do a lot of people know that I named this beer way back when, but I don't flaunt that too often, except I just did. But it's a great beer. So shouts to our friends at Three Punks.
Not a humble brag.
I know. I finally get to try it. I know that when they first released it, I missed out. So this time I got myself a 4-pack, and I have been enjoying it. This is my second one, and it's very good. It's a very good Kolsch.
Yeah. Man.
What about you, Drew? What about you? What do you got in your cup?
I have a few things. Number one, I'm supposed to have that beer. I don't have it in my fridge. I actually finished a Tower of Flower
Nice.
IPA earlier today, and it's really good. I saw Kim Dice in our Discord having one before in the What You're Drinking channel. So I'm actually having a few things tonight, one of which is some wine from Italy that I brought back. So it's got, there you go, it's got the black chicken there, which is the seal of Chianti, or Tuscan Chianti. And then I'm also having a root beer float. This is what I was doing when I was like, I got to come back in 2 minutes before the show. I went and had the makings for a root beer float. I decided so that's what I'm having.
You're such a gem. You're such a gem.
I got inspired by being at the game on Sunday, and I saw a lot of people having it, but I just couldn't take my eyes off the field. But I got myself a delicious IPA by Stone, which is
a delicious beer.
Absolutely.
I find those cans. I couldn't hunt it down. Is there a specific stand?
I think it's the one closest to the fountain, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a long because they have different beers at different stands.
They do. It's
all right.
It's like drink around the world at Epcot, except for drink all the beers of Stone, and you only get 3 pendants of life. 4 if you come to our pregame. But we digress. So we had a couple things in terms of, as we said before our last pods, we had a bus trip.
Yes.
And in an Orange County game, which was kind of the most notable thing really to talk about here, is that trip, right? So, you know, I don't really remember much, Steve. So maybe you can recap for me.
No, so we'll kind of break this down with the bus trip up and the match and the bus trip back. Obviously, the bus trip up, just like the last one. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you heard us sing the praises of the bus trip last time, and we're here to do the same thing. It's just such a good time. It's kind of like indescribable how good of a time it is to get on the bus and just have some beers and relax and not have to worry about driving or whatever. You just get to hang out with fellow supporters, and you meet people that you see in the stands, but you get to actually talk to, because in the stands we're busy singing and drumming and playing. So it's just such a different experience. It will definitely keep doing it next season. But the bus ride up, same kind of thing. Stopped at Balboa Park, picked up about 30 members, and then another stop in Encinitas, picked up about another 20, and then cruised all the way up to Orange County. I don't really have much else to add besides it just was an incredible time.
I think
was
it was
an amazing time.
It was a great time. I think besides the game, the match
Mhm.
itself even was interesting.
Let's get to that, yeah.
Because we felt like we dominated the match. We felt like we actually played the game we wanted to play, but it turned out that we didn't win because we didn't score the goal that we needed to when we needed to score goals. And they scored on a free kick and pretty much just played their defensive block in a way that didn't allow us to have the looks that we wanted, and we didn't unfortunately connect where we wanted to, and their keeper made some good saves. I think that's kind of my brief summation, but is there some highlights or lowlights from you in there?
Let's see, Tony, what do you think? Let's throw it to you first.
Oh boy. I mean, it's one of those games that, I really wish that the result would have been different for,
Yeah.
Obviously the reasons of playoff at home implications, but I really wanted to see some of the younger players have at least 2 games of, some experience, some game time, just so you can, you already clinched playoffs, you already clinched home field advantage. Let's throw Chavez out there. Let's throw CJ out there. Let's throw CJ out there, who were also cheering for the senior team because they played themselves against Orange County's Academy or their younger team. And San Diego Loyal Select actually won that game. But I mean, it was a tough game overall, and Orange County plays you tough. And in the place that they were in and the form that they're in, it was going to be a hard game regardless. But I feel that San Diego Loyal could have done a little bit better as far as chances taken and just the general shape that they took out there. I was a little confused with some of the positioning of players. Guido was 2-time back-to-back team of the week player, and in the center mid position, you throw him a little bit forward. But in any case, it's a game that could have been won. Unfortunately, it just didn't go that way. And it's one of those things where we made the trip up there. It was fun on the way up and it's fun on the way back, but it just kind of left you thinking of what could have been just in the back of your mind at the end.
Yeah, and I hate to play this card, but the refs were just terrible that game, and I really know that it's kind of what you get at this level, and you kind of think, well, it's going to even out over the course of the season. But I just feel like these last few matches, especially that OC game, it just that PK call against Guido was a clear PK call. I mean, you go back and you look at that, and it's just how did he not see that? How did he not call that? And I get it was a huge match and maybe just a timid ref, but those kind of things just infuriate you because he gets himself in a good position. He turns and he definitely draws contact. It didn't work out. So it's rough to kind of see that happen, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think kind of like Drew said in the beginning, I think we played okay. I think we played pretty well. I would say more of an even match than the form we had been in before that game. But at the same time, they got a really phenomenal goal on a set piece that, you can't blame Austin. You can't blame the loyal player who committed the foul. Sometimes you have to draw, you have to commit fouls and you have to put your foot in and take a risk. And that was a risk that they took. They got the foul call there and they buried it. It was a really good shot. And we couldn't find the back of the net. So I don't know, very can be frustrating, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those things you go, sometimes the results just don't go our way.
Yeah, and that was one where a free kick goal like that where you score from the kick, very hard to be mad at your team for conceding. Sometimes it's just the player, they practice these goals all the time. It's amazing how little they come off, but when they do, you kind of have to have your hats off to the other player. And just in our end, as you said, we didn't get the free kick we needed. We didn't get a PK. We didn't get any sort of little magic besides the magic we made on the bus. And afterwards, you're greeted by, if we would have won, hey, what can make that better? Pizza. And in our case, we lost, but also you still get pizza. So that was the nice thing was I literally walked out of the stadium with about a minute left I was really hoping we didn't score at the end. Unfortunately, I didn't like everybody else because I was like, well, I'm not going to be there. It's one of those stories on the road where you go, okay, I'm doing this just because I know. Either way, it's a good thing, and I was half hoping that they would come back, but it was one of those things where it just didn't feel like it was going our way by that point. Even with 5 minutes left, you're kind of reading the game and going, and that's where I was looking at my watch, going, I don't want to leave because I don't want them to. I'll feel like I'm conceding, but it really just felt like it wasn't the night. So rode back in style, did our karaoke thing this time. There were some fights for the iPad.
I remember going to you and asking you for a song, and you're like, "You do it. I'm getting bombarded." I was like, "Okay, I got it.
I was just taking flack from all directions.
You were.
Handlebars with Flowbots was thrown in my
that
face
was fun.
A couple times.
Yeah, and I'll say shouts again, just like last time, to the members of the club, the people who work for the club who made the bus. It's always so fun for you guys to join and kind of get to know us a little bit better as well. We talked about us getting to know members, but it's really cool to kind of see the front office and just, employees of the club to get on the bus and kind of get to know us.
And be fans for the day too. Acted as fans
for sure,
as opposed to just being, oh, hey, here's your season ticket package, blah, blah, blah. Right. Definitely more of like, hey, we're here to just be one with you and stand in the section and do whatever it takes. Right. And that day just didn't come up. We're hoping for something, but we just, the magic we made was the magic together, and that was the day. So next time we have a bus trip, you gotta go. If you're like, I might go, it is just this cathartic thing that it's, you go, oh, it's $60 or it's whatever, it's worth it just because of, if you're somebody who really wants that experience, that's, it's incredible. So,
and I will say we make zero money on the bus. We actually lose money.
We do.
I can show you the spreadsheet, but we do not profit on that. We do that completely at cost. So anybody who thinks $60 is too steep, I promise you, we make nothing on that.
There's no sort of profit motive, and we drink all the beer, and it's pretty much all gone. It's like almost perfect.
I got some left. And it's just in my garage fridge, and I need to distribute that. I'll bring some to the watch party on Saturday and let people take some home. So
co-op, beer co-op for us, where we redistribute our beer
for sure
to the needy fridges.
Perfect.
So the other thing that we had kind of was the match, versus Oakland to end out the year here, which was, it had a different feel kind of going into it. Honestly, felt like a lot of people showed up early. They knew what the scene was almost, who were showing up. There was a lot of people who maybe it was their first time still, but it felt like it was the people who really came to represent this community this year, showing up for one final time for sure, knowing that we had a scheduled date, and got a takeaway, one of these scarves that's right above my head here, and that kind of helped get the butts in the seats. It's always funny how giveaways incentivize, and especially good giveaways, tend to have way more people in the seats by the time the game goes up. How do you guys like the scarf? Is it pretty? That's where I was going to lead with, and then we'll talk about this cracker of a game. But the scarf, I feel like, should have its own place. I thought it was really cool. It's a great sign from the club to take a cheer that we've had. That was started by Jerry in our section, and then just started as a thing we started doing in the first game here, and it's something that's now grown to be something we do with the club at the end of each match, and to have our names of the season ticket holders in there. And it was funny when I walked in and was handed it. Somebody said, "Oh, you have to find your name," and I'm there for like 4 minutes trying to find my name. And luckily, I think Brandon Rodriguez came over and told me where it was, and I was like, "Thank you." I would have spent the next like 10 minutes doing that while we're trying to march, trying to look for my name. So, but yeah,
it's rad.
Great. It was great. It's. I think everybody loved it. Yeah, I don't think there's any other great takeaways besides.
Well, and I'll say this, that I think they could have designed this scarf, and I think they could have sold it, and I think it would have sold well, but they didn't, right? They designed a scarf. Travis, shouts to Travis again. I feel like this is our Travis this time. Travis Peterson, shouts to him. He's incredible. He's just an incredible artist. He knows exactly what he's good at and what he does. And but that's kind of the coolest thing that stood out to me was that the club definitely could have sold this scarf and it would have sold well, but they didn't choose to sell it. They chose to give it out, which is just kind of indicative of who this club is. It was supporter appreciation night, fan appreciation night, and they gave scarves out, and they gave scarves out with our names on it. So, because even from the beginning, they told us that, this is our club. This is our club to own. It's our club to mold, and we're, you know, the club is only going to be as successful as we are. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And this gesture, this scarf is just indicative of that. So yeah, big shouts to the
man.
club.
So the match.
Yep. Go.
We go up early, right? This felt like one of those matches earlier in the year when we got our groove in those 7 games where we were kicking ass. This felt like one of those. Felt like, oh, we're gonna start off hot. We're gonna go well. We're gonna just win this 4-1, and have a great night here. Close out the season. Let's go. Was not to be. Kind of turned around, and then we had something we haven't seen from our team very much. We're pretty good at playing the ball at the back, passing the ball in the back. We're very good compared to most USL teams at doing that. Yet an error comes in. Josh Yarrow, you mentioned, coming with an injury from the Orange County match, was available to play apparently, but did not play. Callum Montgomery starting in his place, passes back to our keeper, Austin Guerrero, and it wasn't really to him. It was to the far post of the goal.
Yeah.
It was actually a pretty impressive pass in. If that's what he did, like a hockey goal almost, kind of in the far post, sliding it in there, rule shot style. But that was something. It's just hard to explain when you're like, that's just a mental error. Tony, I heard you break it down a little bit as a keeper on your show. There was really nothing to do there in terms of making a play for the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you could have argued that Austin could have maybe slid at some point, but then you have the post there. He didn't know exactly where that was. So yeah, do you risk the body and injure yourself in the long run when playoffs are coming in? You have to just be mindful of those type of things in that situation. It's a 1-0 affair at that point in the first half. At that point, it looked like San Diego Loyal had everything under control because they had dominated in the first half. So then you think, okay, we're 1-1. We're going to go into the break. There's going to be more offense from San Diego Loyal in the second half. I mean, even going into the half, I didn't think anybody could have imagined the game was going to end in the way that it did, or just transpire in the way that it happened. Because let me tell you, that was one of the most wild San Diego Loyal games I think I've ever seen. And it's crazy that the result ended up being what it was, even though there was just an explosion of emotion and as loud as Torero's been, honestly. And you know, again, kudos to everybody in attendance, because you know that gives a testament to, I mean, with this in Spanish, just like these are intelligent fans here in San Diego with a IQ. You're not just there for the show of it, just to be in a stadium and watch a silly game to do on a everybody there was invested. And even if you don't understand what the game is or what's happening on the field, the emotion and the momentum was tangible. And you know, you just can't. I wish I could bottle that and just like keep it in the off season, just open it a little bit, just like but I mean, it ended up happening as it happened, and that's redundantly redundant.
But I feel like some of the comments coming in right now ring true. You know, we had the momentum, and that own goal just really kind of took the sting out of the game. I think some sting out of the atmosphere too. And that's hard, right? And that's not easy to, you know, say, the players got to be professionals and turn the game. Like that's they're humans, and that's hard. That's defeating to be 1-0 up in a huge match and have an own goal like that go in. That's got to be hard to take. And I'm not going to sit here as a keyboard warrior who's drinking beer, you know, criticize them for it. But at the same time, that is hard to see. It's hard to see them get so down on themselves and kind of, you know, take their foot off the gas. If they didn't, you know, maybe we put another one in before halftime. We go into halftime tied 1-1 and still kind of thinking we have that game under control. And lo and behold, that game ends 4-3. I will say that to go down 3-1 was rough, but kind of like I said about the OC game, sometimes soccer is soccer, and they scored 2 pretty incredible goals, in pretty quick succession. I think it was like the 55th minute, and I got it right here, 52nd minute, 58th minute.
Yeah.
They were both just incredible goals. The first goal was a curler in the top corner. The second goal was like tiki-taka Iniesta goal. Like it was incredible. Like at some point you just go, wow, those are really good.
You can't even do that
good soccer
on the training pitch. That's that third goal that when they went 3-1, it was just kind of like, okay, this is feeling like a pill. But honestly, in my head, I felt like there's enough time. We have the offense. If we go balls out, Oakland's not that good at the back. Mm-hmm. We can make this a scorcher.
Yep.
And that's what took off. And I think everybody felt that in the section. I think everybody felt, let's go. We can win this 4-3. We can make this 3-3. We need a point. We just need to stay in the race. And
Yep.
they battled back. They came. You need a scrap. You need Scrappy Scruffy McDo, or what's his name? From Scooby McDoo. Scrappy Doo.
Scrappy.
That's Corey Herzog in the box. He's Scrappy Doo. He gets
Yeah,
in
so
there.
Augie,
Yeah.
just to recap a little bit, 77th minute, Augustine Williams goes across from Elijah, just chests it down and slots it home. It's just a professional number 9, out and out striker goal. Exactly what you want to see. And then Corey puts it in the 86th minute, and it just erupts. Like, the stadium is just electric. And Tony, like you said, like, that was as loud as I've heard 109B. That was as electric as I've heard 109B. And then we turn around, and it sucks. It sucks. They had a nice ball in, and I think Austin had to make a decision on what to do, either commit or don't. And he committed. And I think, as good as Austin has been filling in for Trey for the second half of the season, and not just filling in, it could arguably say, even if Trey was 100% right now, Austin should start. He I think he's earned that number 1, but I think he chose wrong here. And it's easy. Again, it's easy to criticize. It's easy to sit here and criticize that, but he committed. I think it was definitely a foul. There's no complaints on the ref on that call, and they buried the goal in stoppage time and took the game 4-3. So really, really tough to live with, especially with how much was on the line. I will say that that was Roots' playoff chances. They had to win that game, so they were fighting for their playoff lives, where we had playoff secured. But yeah, we were still, fighting for second in the division, and obviously they scored late, and it sucks. It sucks to see, and it's easy for us to sit here and go, well, they secured playoffs and they took their foot off the gas. But that goal against New Mexico United, and in stoppage time was an incredible goal as well. The OC game, I kind of feel like we played well, but we didn't get the results. And then this game, they scored 2 bangers and get a clear PK, and they win 4-3. So it's really hard to sit here and go, that's soccer, and not be like infuriated with the performances right now. But at the same time, I'm not sitting here that upset. I'm not that mad. I think we're playing decent soccer. We just aren't getting results right now, and that's really hard to stomach going into playoffs. But sometimes it is what it is.
I think if we play better at the 35th minute, the 90th minute will take care of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good point.
I think that there's been a little bit complacency as we've made our way to the playoff berth, done well, played our soccer, been the way that we want to be in most games, imposed our will on other teams to a certain extent, where we pass the ball well, we're doing well and looking like a team, versus you could see markedly in the beginning part of the year that wasn't the case. I think that there is a sense of, we're like, oh, we'll get it in the 55th minute. But they don't step on it in the 30th and the 35th in a way that's been considerable in the last few games. And that's where, hopefully, that's what they're working for, and just coming out punching against Sacramento, as well as in their playoff matchup either way. And maybe that's what they're holding back for. Maybe they're going 78, 85% right now, knowing the playoffs are right there, and you don't want to peak too early. And it's a hard thing to do sometimes when you do have this roll into the playoffs like that. When you do clinch, where they did a number of games out, it can mess with you a little bit. In this case, we're just, as you said, fluky in some ways, but I do think the trend I've seen is that if we score a little bit earlier, if we take care of business a little earlier in the game, we could pass the ball around and probably not be in these situations where one errant header into the box creates a scoring opportunity for somebody that just should have never been there in the first place, I think. So
yeah. I mean, you make good points. But there was a few other things.
Sal got subbed in there as well, which was great.
Yes, get there.
In the middle of all of that, and we're almost going, oh, well, this is nice for this to be Sal's last game, but hopefully they can make something of this. And then, sure enough, Corey scores, and we have this kind of euphoric, hey, maybe we can do something, and Sal can be involved, and and unfortunately that's the ending, but. It was, great to have that moment on the field and be able to see him out there for us, since I know in the latter half of the year he's kind of transitioned to being more of a kind of coach from where he stands in the lineup. So it was really nice to see him out there and playing and rolling the ball out, even though it was in the minutes of this dire, crazy, helter-skelter kind of match at the end.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Sal's last match, I think the club did an incredible job with the videos and the tribute before the game, and then getting in minutes, kind of despite it being so close. Yeah, like Drew said, he definitely hasn't been first or really second choice. Kind of traditionally, Sal has really been a fullback his career, and I think he's getting, after all of his injuries and surgeries, his legs just can't hold up to the requirements of our fullback positions right now. So he hasn't really been getting minutes. But despite that, I think it's really cool that he got in there, kind of to play some final minutes at home in front of his friends and family and us, the supporters. We did give him a special growler / trophy for his retirement. I did paint a banner that we hung directly in front of 109, and I did give him at the Loyal event last night, or 2 nights ago, sorry, which was really rad. He seemed really appreciative for that. I just, Sal, if you are listening by any chance, thank you for being our first signing, our first captain, and like really exemplifying what it meant to be a part of this club, right? You set a standard here, first captain of the first season. Obviously, we all know what happened. At the end of the season, I really feel like you kind of led a lot of that. So big shouts. And I think it's awesome that you kind of got that. And I know how much it meant to you just from what you said. So yeah, that was a really cool moment. But we had another person. We had a few more people on the podium after the game. Yeah. It was quite the celebration. It was quite fun afterwards. So we did our regular man of the match, which was Augustine Williams. It was really rad to kind of get him up there. He hadn't won that yet. No. He scored 2 goals.
I felt
obviously,
bad too, because it was like, you haven't won yet. Here you are, and we have 2 other people that are also doing.
But he was appreciative.
He was really still really sweet about it. He hung out the whole time.
Yeah,
he didn't want to leave. It was almost other people. Maybe if they'd won before, would have been like, I've done this before. I'll let Toomey hang out, but he wanted to hang out the whole time, be there on the podium, hang out with everybody, and do the whole thing right. So good kudos to him. And he did make 2 great goals that just didn't, are adding to a tally. He's had a great tally with us here, and he'll be hopefully in our books for years. But
I mean, I'll share one 30-second story before we move off of Augustine. Was I kind of went over to him and I said, hey, you've been phenomenal. Thank you for being so dedicated as a Loney player. You've really changed the season for us. And I was like, I hope you come back. And he goes, me too. Obviously he's an LA Galaxy player. If he gets called up to the first team and he gets, MLS minutes, see Miguel Berry. But, kind of the exemplification of him saying, I hope I come back too, is really showing what a culture this club has built. And like, he loves it here. You could just kind of tell by, like Drew said, he didn't want to leave. And kind of what he said to me was like, I hope I'm back too. So it's kind of a cool little moment that we had. And it kind of made me really realize what a culture we've built here. So we as in, Loyal, talking in the general, I think that we locals have helped, but I think that the culture
too, Steve.
Yeah.
One of these matches.
Me too.
And if he does come back, we promise we'll have it.
Yes. But the final person on that podium was our player of the year. We did talk about this on the last podcast, but when it was going out, but player of the year was Chumi Moshibane, which was awesome. We had about 100 votes, 100 people vote. And Toomey was overall ranked as the highest player. It was rank voting, so it wasn't just who got the most number 1 votes or who, it was rank voting. So if he was consistently highest and, pulled the numbers and he won. He won.
Out of the man of the matches as well, just to state that. So is that
man of the matches are critical players.
And so, exactly. Critical players who have been on the roster and played X amount of minutes.
Which is quite interesting because, kind of when I took a step back and I was doing my player of the year voting, I actually voted for Charlie. And Charlie hadn't won any man of the matches all season. But I feel like, he didn't have a peak that I would say warranted a man of the match, but I feel like he had a consistently high enough level, kind of the soul of this team, right? I mean, he was captain most of the year as the player. He's the only Loyal player to have played in all 30 games. I don't want to keep going on and on, but I just thought it was interesting that he was kind of my choice for that. But
I agree. I agree with that somewhat. I think the games where Colin won is where Charlie's doing his job the best, right? So it's when Colin looks really good. He's usually on with Charlie, and Charlie's usually doing stuff that just doesn't go as noticed because Colin's doing the forward play, link play that's a little more exciting sometimes. And so I think that's where, again, I think it's a good vote. Mine was Toomey as well as most people I know, and it was him and Yarrow seemed to be the 2 favorites for a lot of people just because they played the most minutes and I think were the most crucial. I put it this way, that Toomey won us games and that Josh helped us save points, right? Helped us keep points and kept us in games,
Yeah.
and maybe did attribute points. But I do think Toomey definitely won us points. I don't think we would have probably at least 2 or 4 different points that are on our tally right now that either would have been a loss or been a draw that were simply through his goals and just games where he muscled out a run where he just came with the ball and did something pretty spectacular to score in a way that none of the other players seem to be able to do, just because it's hard. It's not easy to do. The stuff he does looks easy and looks just so effortless for him because he is just so good with the ball in ways that I could only hope to be. So congrats to Toomey Moshabane, and it's been cool to watch the growth too. And I think that was a lot of people's factor, was kind of growing with him and seeing where he's come. From the first season where he almost was connecting that stuff. We could see him almost scoring those goals, and then this year scoring those goals and developing into that at this level. As he had come from League One with Lansing and with Nate the year before. So pretty cool to see Toomey there. And again, super gracious and awesome with the Growler. Was a multiple. We need multiple coolers, Steve. We need Travis to have more coolers now for the Growlers.
I will say the runners up. Also Nicole, our director of marketing and key member of leadership, she kind of pulled all this together. She pulled together the runners up. When all of us voted, we made you give a reason why you picked the player of the year. So the runners up, we actually printed out those reasons and we gave them to them at the event on Tuesday, and you could kind of see how much it meant to all of them to hear that they were number one voted for in general, and number two, just to know that we took the time to print it out. And one of the coolest moments I think of the entire season, I was talking to Nicole about this, was we gave it to Guido. There were quite a bunch of votes for Guido. Same with Yarrow. A lot of votes for Guido and Yarrow. And we went up to Guido and we talked to him and we said, hey, here's your, I'm sorry, you didn't win, but we wanted to give you the sentiment of why people did vote for you. And then Nicole and I walked away and we turned back around and he was like reading it like this, like right away. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like it wasn't like a throwaway to him, like it mattered. Like he wanted to know, he wanted to read the words. So that was really, really cool. But regardless, yeah, congratulations to me. I saw that, he posted that on Instagram. Tony, you did put that up, which is rad. It's really cool. So well-deserved.
Definitely. And just one last point is these players really do care. Like going back to Augustine, he was one of the players that put something on social media that isn't just like hashtag work harder, grind, playoffs. No, they really care about this. And several of those players that you mentioned did reach out to the fans on social media and essentially apologize, for the form that the teams has been. But at the end of the day, it's like we appreciate that, and that's little gestures like that at the end of the day, this is a professional soccer institution that doesn't need to be doing these things, but they are, and you can never take that for granted. 100%.
For sure. All right, so I think we are good with that. So let's start talking about moving forward. I think about five-ish more minutes real quick here, but until we get to
sorry
Travis
guest in the wings. He's waiting in the wings.
Yes, hang with us.
We will hang with you and have some good stuff. But yeah, so Sacramento, Saturday, Sacramento,
7:30 p.m. Saturday the 30th. We will be at Stone Liberty Station for anybody not traveling. If you are traveling and you're a listener, please reach out to us. We would love to know and hear about it, and get you in touch with the right people. So reach out if you are traveling. But yeah, just a massive match. There's obviously we're not in control of our own destiny anymore. To get second and host a playoff match, we have to win, and Orange County has to lose. So that's basically
a couple scoreboards to watch.
Yeah, 1 of 9 outcomes result in us hosting a playoff game. But that sounds kind of doom and gloom there. But LA Galaxy 2, who is playing Orange County, they have a lot to play for. They need a win to have a chance at making the playoffs, so they're going to be going for it. Just like the last kind of three games that we've played, or 2 of the last 3 games we played. New Mexico was fighting for their playoff lives when we played them a couple weeks ago, and Orange County, that was obviously a huge match for them as well. So we've been playing intense opponents, and we know what that could mean to them. So at the same time, LA Galaxy 2 playing Orange County, that game could mean a lot to them. This game against Sacramento means a lot to us. So I would say, while it's technically an 11% chance, I would put the chances higher than that. This could swing our way. I wouldn't call myself perfectly optimistic about it, but I would definitely be hopeful. I'm just kind of a stats and numbers guy, but
Okay, Nate Silver.
I know, but I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm hopeful. We'll see. We got to take care of our business. And I know, Nick, we talked about that a little bit at the event on Tuesday. We have to take care of our business, right? That's all we can focus on. Just go to Sacramento, regardless of what happens in Orange County. You take that W and you go into the playoffs in good form, whether that's here in San Diego, or you go away to what would likely be, or it's guaranteed to be, either Colorado Springs or San Antonio would be the away match.
So it's the winner or the outcome of that match, right? Colorado sits above. No, San Antonio sits above Colorado. So if it stays as is, if they draw out, I believe San Antonio advances as the 2 seed, so they host the away match if we go away, and then Colorado Springs would come here if we were to host the home match, if that was the case, and then if Colorado Springs win, obviously they host, and vice versa. So
right.
That'll happen before our match, so we'll know going in if whatever the outcome is where we're going, whether it's Colorado Springs or San Antonio. So if you have a plan to try and travel, that would be, or home, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to host former Loyal player Beverly Macangila, who I congratulated on clinching, because they did clinch us with the switchbacks. So that's actually something that was floated around over at training, is people want to host Macangila just to make a little bit of a reunion, something special for that.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But yeah, take care of business in Sacramento, kind of regardless. We got to see how this plays out. I'm really interested to see if Yarrow plays, if he gets any minutes. It would be really nice to kind of see him back on the field. Obviously, the injury at Orange County looked really bad, carried off the field, but Landon did an interview with Darren Smith and kind of said, Drew even alluded to it, he was available, he dressed, and if he does it again, it would surprise me, but I'm hopeful. It's good. He's obviously, we gave up a lot of goals without him, so I'm hopeful that he gets the minutes. I'm good. That's kind of going to be one of the things I watch out for the most. And then obviously the form we play in and the result. So,
and
that's kind of it
this time. If you've been before, or if you've seen, they're indoor, part of that had to do with every single time we were there, it seemed like there was like 6 weddings happening on either side of us. And so they just didn't have the venue space. Now that it's colder and no one wants to get married anymore when it's cold, or apparently want to outside at Stone. So they're going to have that outdoor space where we had, if you did go to the season ticket holder event, if you were lucky enough to go on Tuesday to that event, that will be the same space, I believe, with a blow-up screen outdoors, which would be pretty cool. So we're going to try and do something to have the Orange County match on. If we have a merch table, have something up there just so that you can scoreboard watch a little bit so we know what's going on. But obviously, we got to take care of numero uno. And what we're going to do. But without any further ado, now that we told him it was going to be half the amount of time that we took, I'm just kidding. But it always is. Steve, bring in our guest.
Yeah, so are the new VP of Marketing and Communications with the club. Obviously, the Loyal front office have been making some changes here these past several months, and I've loved every single move they've made. Obviously, everybody knows Warren left the club a while ago, and Ricardo stepping in as president, I think, was an incredible move. I just hope they take the interim tag off. And then some more shuffling has happened, and I think that this marketing and communications, Jesse and Ryan and Danny have done an incredible job with social media and communications and the marketing side of things. But I think that, they're stretched thin. There's a lot of stuff to do. So Travis coming in here obviously brings a ton of experience, and we'll get into his story. So without further ado, welcome Travis in.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, hanging. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to San Diego. How you settling in?
I'm settling in nice. I did drive cross country from New York, which was I think everybody should do that one time in their life at least, right? From either coast. So that was my first time with my girlfriend, who keeps.
How many hours in each day? What was like the longest hours you did in a day?
So for me, I mapped it out. The first day was long. It was like a little over 9 hours. It was like to push out to Cleveland. Nothing against Cleveland, but just kind of get out there. And then everything else was like 6 to 7 hours, which anything under 7 to me is like that's a doable like mental.
Yeah, that's
and of course I drove probably. I think my girlfriend maybe drove 2 hours out of the entire. And then the second longest was from like Des Moines to Denver. That was like 9 hours. So everything else was like 6 to 7. But truly amazing trip, seeing this country, and like Utah is like a different planet. And then arriving. What was that?
It's like you're in Mars.
Yeah, literally Mars. And then arriving on Saturday evening while it was still daylight to San Diego, and literally getting out of the car with my girlfriend, going straight to the beach, walking to it. It was surreal, incredible. But what makes it even more special is the reason, why I'm here. Like, this wasn't just a cross-country trip, right? It had a lot of purpose. And I'm I keep saying this, but it's true. I'm like absolutely thrilled to be here. There's a tremendous foundation. This is growing fast. The way you guys have, you would think the locals have existed for 5 years. So every piece of the club, I think, is just, on track to keep growing in all different facets. And I'm truly, I think it's a privilege to be here. And there's great people, whether it's, Landon, the front office here, you guys all around, and Andrew, of course. It's a lot of great ingredients, and, I'm here to kind of add some more ingredients to an already great recipe. So
awesome. So you mentioned the cross-country trip. Let's kind of hear your background and your story. Where are you from?
Yeah. Yep.
What's your history?
Go
as in depth as you want to go.
Yeah. So I'm a New Yorker. Okay. I'm from Queens, New York. I grew up like 7 stops on the train from Shea Stadium. Super diverse neighborhood, kind of close to the city, which is what we call Manhattan. And then college, went to LSU, so went to the South.
Okay.
That was, I guess, the start of my track record of going to places I've really never been before, not knowing anyone. So it started early, and great experience, great time. And then moved back to the city after college and worked in event and experiential marketing. So in the field, like managing live events, whether it was like brand activations or other kind of marketing campaigns, and then shifted into internal agencies, but more like guerrilla marketing. So, stunts and things maybe that aren't, traditional advertising, right? And that's kind of always stayed with me, that kind of guerrilla grassroots marketing tactics that I think work very well in this world, right, that I'm in now. But then after the agency stuff, I did a little bit traditional advertising, and then kind of came to a personal crossroads. My next step was to dive into something that I'm interested in, and I've always been interested in 3 things. One of them is film. Love movies. I feel like I see everything cinematically in a way, just when I'm walking around, and anywhere I am.
You'll love San Diego then.
I will. Yeah, I'm excited to. I need to get out there more. Like just passion for movies started early. I watched like Pulp Fiction when I was 8 years old, so like it's just those things blew my mind. And then so film, and then politics. Politics more just the game of politics, especially city politics, and sports as a whole. So the first thing that came my way was politics. I worked at the New York City Council, which I like to say is like the AAA to DC, if you will, in terms of just pressure, the media, legislation, all those kind of things.
It's almost harder in some ways, just because
it was. Yeah, you got the New York Post at you and talking to you. It's pretty tough, right? But so I was director of communications for a senior council member, which just means that he had been there the longest, and then quickly became chief of staff. And politics would lead to the beginning of my soccer story. which soccer could also be kind of political, right? So my council member was based in a district in Brooklyn, and the New York Cosmos at the time played outside of the 5 boroughs, outside of the city, and they played in Long Island, and they were relocating to Brooklyn, to Coney Island specifically, which was near my council member's district. So when they were doing this relocation, they reached out to our office to help them with some community engagement, with some PR, kind of a lay of the land, if you will. And I was thrilled to help them do that. And then my council member was term limited. So that pretty much, to me, I took that opportunity. I was like, okay, this is perfect. I knew this was my ticket in. I liked the people over there. And I just went to them directly and said I could be your marketing guy, your PR guy full time. And they were into it. We did that. This was 2017. And I thought we had a great inaugural year and things were moving in the right direction. And a part of my attitude with it was, the New York Cosmos it's a historic brand, right?
Yes,
they have a lot of history, all those things, right? But we didn't need to own New York, right? We just needed to own Coney Island. So like in a perfect world, I would love, like to me mentally, I was like, this is the Coney Island Cosmos. Like this is what it is right now. So it was like super hyper local focus. And I thought the community rallied behind it. And then, we know what happened with NASL and all of that, right? So after that ended, I caught the soccer bug, to be honest. And I felt like I had unfinished business. So
you didn't get enough of drinking in breweries with people.
It had all the right mix of things for me,
Yeah, right.
And so I felt like I had unfinished business, and then I saw an opportunity, and I wanted to stay in the sport. I didn't even want to join another sport. So I saw an opportunity in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was just USL Memphis at the time. I didn't know anyone there. Applied coldly, and got a response, had a few phone calls, and got the job offer, and I took it. Again, my girlfriend continues to follow me across the country. Memphis, to me, I knew exactly kind of what I was getting into in terms of the city, just from going to college in the South, right? So I had kind of an idea of what it would be like. Went down there, had a couple months to essentially reveal the brand and host an exhibition match to kind of do a digital/live in stadium reveal. Became an all-day event, and it was on 901 Day, which is Memphis's area code, and they celebrate that day. It's a big day. It's September 1st, right? Tremendous success. I didn't go down there as a cocky New Yorker, like I'm going to tell everybody what to do, this and that. I really listened to the community, and I know that sounds cliche. But I kind of divided the city into a lot of buckets. There's a great food community, right? Music, especially, art, of course, the corporate side as well. But a lot of the movers and shakers, right, in all these little buckets that aren't celebrities, but they're Memphians recognize these people, right? And they know who you should talk to, and they know how to galvanize their own committees, right? So creating these like steering committees, but a lot of listening. And just a quick example of just kind of what my approach was. There was no event that was too good for me to go to, right? Or that I didn't, the weirder it sounded or the more random it was, I was like, I want to go there because I bet I pick up something from it. So our hashtag, which still is the club's hashtag, I actually went to a underground boxing match. And it was I was maybe 3 weeks in, and I'm sitting there, and it's crazy. This is some real stuff. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm watching this underground boxing match. There's people there. They're probably gambling on it. I have no idea what's going on. And there's a kid sitting in front of me, and he has a hat on and backwards, and the hat says "Defend Memphis." And I looked at that and I was like, man, that's resonating with me. and I'm not even from here, right? But you could already see something like that. The city has a chip on their shoulder. Nashville gets all the accolades, right? Memphis is always grinding, all those kind of things. So that became our hashtag. And the club adopted it. The supporters loved it. It became just a great call to action, not just for the club, but for the city. So just an example of like what my approach was, right? If I didn't go to that event, I don't have that perspective, right? That doesn't get applied. Maybe it's a different brand identity. But it fit. We had a great inaugural season. And then towards the latter half of that, I was in Memphis for about a little under a year and a half. The league, the USL, created basically a job that hadn't existed before that was almost combining my political experience, my marketing experience, and the soccer startup all in one. So it was interesting to me. And it was a communications and community development role, essentially working with potential or prospective USL clubs all across the country, right? Oh, so whether it was you guys, actually the Loyal were just, now it's my team too, right? So the Loyal were launching just literally as I arrived. So I watched the whole inception and all that stuff. I was watching it very closely because you guys were doing Loyal were doing a lot of things right. But essentially the job was to work with communities all over the country, all facets of it, to engineer PR campaigns and marketing campaigns and community campaigns to galvanize these communities by a potential USL club. So a lot of sharing best practices and market playbooks, things like that. Then the pandemic happened. Once again, we moved to another place. My girlfriend keeps following me. I guess she loves me. And then pandemic happened. Came back to the East Coast. Was doing some consulting. Trying to figure out what we're gonna do. We ended up moving back to New York, and my girlfriend got a full-time job. And then I saw this opportunity, and I was honestly afraid to tell my girlfriend that I had applied. But I knew I felt good about it. And when I told her, she was actually surprised. She actually surprised me. Her reaction was positive. And I really got to know Ricardo very well, very quickly. And he's a passionate guy, and he's authentic. And quickly learned about everybody else. And it was an easy decision, literally left everything behind in New York and drove out here because, everyone, I truly believe in it. And the passion is tangible from everyone. And, I got here last Saturday night. I went to the game Sunday. And to see the energy, just like how you guys were saying, the crowd was so into it. And, even when we were down 3-1, they were still into it. No one left, right? Like, no one left the game. So that was amazing. That was an amazing environment. And then, I started my first day Monday, and, there's a lot of talent here, both on the pitch and in this office. And there are people that really, really do care about this and care about this community. I know I'm not from here, but, once again, I am entering a new city to try to learn from people like you and listen to you guys and people here, to keep growing this and take it to the next level. And a part of my belief with this is that, whether it's people covering the team or people learning about us or whoever, you want to get on board now, right? Because it's still just the beginning. Yep. But I think it's going to move fast, so you don't want to be too late. So I'm excited to be just a part of that. And then just overall, through my soccer experience, I like even calling it the human connection business. Like, that's really what we're in, right? We're all making connections. This right now, having me on so early, I just got down here, right? You guys are welcoming me in. I was only in Memphis for a year, but I have lifelong friends forever. And soccer did that, so nothing else. So again, just really excited to be here, and I could not be more thrilled.
Yeah, and I'll chime in. I think, Drew, you got the next question, but I'll just chime in here. A few things that you said that I'll comment on.
Yeah.
You mentioned about Memphis, like always feeling like the little brother, and in a way, I would say we have that little chip on our shoulder too, right? Everybody always thinks Southern California, Los Angeles, Los Angeles. But no, we're very not Los Angeles. In fact, being a born and raised San Diego, and I hate LA. Like, I think it comes from that disdain of like, no, we're just grouped in with that city, and it's not. We're our own town. We have our own identity. We have our own unique kind of vibe, and it's actually very different than Los Angeles, but we get looped in with them a lot. So like I feel that a lot. So that part really resonated with me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's readily apparent too.
Yeah, and then I'll say that even if you're not from here, it's the humility that matters. It's that you're here to listen and you're here to learn, and that matters most, right? You're not coming in, like you said, as that cocky New Yorker saying, this is how you market and this is how you do stuff and this is how we're gonna make this better because I say so. Like, no, that's not how this is. Like, it's very different here. So like, I think I mentioned this when I talked to you on Sunday. Like, it's a unique market. It's very different here than I think in a lot of places. But you seem to have a great mentality, and I'm excited to kind of get to know you more.
Yeah,
half hour ish.
Yeah. I'll say,
take it away.
And more credit to you guys again, and the team here. It's hard to launch a professional soccer club without a pandemic, right? Doing it in a pandemic, I mean that's hard work, and to sustain the momentum through a whole season, then into this one and do it again, it's pretty special. So.
Oh yeah, we know we started a supporters group during a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be the hard in the club.
It was hard. It was hard.
It is. We, as I say, we're an in-person supporters group. It was kind of impossible to do that. For quite a while. But it sounds like your background, lent itself into this avenue where a lot of us have found ourselves, where we just become part of this sport in a way that becomes more than just a thing we do on the weekends from 6 to 8 a.m. or whatever, but becomes something we actually do actively in our lives and determines a lot of our social situations. But in terms of working with Memphis and then kind of looking at the league overall, is there a reason why you've honed in on USL Championship, at least applying for this job, looking at this league specific? It sounds like you're into the soccer culture overall.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why maybe this platform works for you?
Yeah. I think it's a sweet spot in terms of a lot of things. So like growth, right? It's no doubt it's the fastest growing league, I would say, in the United States or any sport. And I think the ability at this level to make a lot more touch points, both at like a community level, and that doesn't mean like community relations really, but just being able to, I don't know, there's a lot less red tape, if you will, right? At this, you can make a larger impact. I think in the USL.
We were talking about earlier, being able to be close to the players, right? Being able to have those conversations.
Yes.
If it's even MLS, right? There's twice as many or 3 times as many people, and the access gets cut off just naturally because people can't,
For sure.
I get what you're saying. It is kind of the right mixture of things. Is there a reason Loyal, I guess, specifically stood out to you then, even though you're like, I don't know the city, I'm from the furthest place almost like physically in the geographic United States, but I'll take a run on Cal. Have you ever been to California before? Have you?
I've been to California, but I haven't been here I haven't been to San Diego in like 10 years. Okay. Wow. And then I was in San Diego when I was 25, and then I was in San Diego when I was 15, because my mom does have like some second cousins somewhere. I don't know how to find them.
That's crazy.
But we came out here, and I actually met Tony Gwynn because he had just become the manager of, I think, San Diego State's baseball team. That makes sense. But still have an autographed baseball from him. But yeah, that was one of those times. But bottom line,
it was a time message sent to you back in time.
It's weird, and I really did. I looked at the ball like whenever it was, like 3 weeks ago, and its signature kind of faded, but I still had it. No, I mean, a lot of reasons. Look, the brand is great. I mean, look, I'm still like a marketing guy, right? So like this is very good, and it's authentic, and I feel like San Diegans resonate with it, right? It's beyond just a logo and a hat. So I think start there, right? That's great. The support, I've watched it from inception. From the first launch event with the mural, to the support to the locals being born, right? To the crowds after the pandemic. The support is there, the interest is there. And then the people that work here, in the front office and on the team. They're authentic. I believe in them. I believe them. I trust them. So that was all easy for me. And then, I mean, San Diego is pretty nice. Like, that's kind of like the cherry on top, right? I mean, why not? Right? Life is short, especially after the past year. Let's go try this. But sorry, Jerry.
If you haven't met Jerry yet, you will.
Yes, I did meet Jerry. Yes.
That's very Jerry.
Jerry.
Jerry was our former director of communications. He had to take a step back for his
He
family
likes
work,
to be a viewing member now.
But Jerry's our man.
having to run the show.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
You'll get to know Jerry for sure. That's funny.
I like Jerry. We had a little interaction.
Right.
Yeah, but there's just a lot of great pieces. I think it'd be crazy not to take the job. So
yeah, and even so, you mentioned some pieces, and I'm just kind of interrupting you to jump in and say, I did our research. I honed your Twitter feed, and I found this amazing Twitter thread that I'll say, as a supporter of a soccer club and a community-first soccer club, we already value community heavily here in San Diego, and these 6 tweets just like speak volumes to me, right? It's like, oh, who's this new guy? Oh, wow, these are his philosophies. He's gonna fit right in. Like, you want to talk to any of this at all? Like, kind of where this came about, and please go.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's a lot of that is what I applied in Memphis. And I'd never launched a team before, right? Or I've never launched a brand from scratch before that. So it was really learning what was working in real time, right? And then kind of thinking about it deeper. And then after a year going through the pandemic, I think we were in visiting my girlfriend's grandparents or something when I did that thread. I was just kind of thinking by a pool, I think. And that, I think what I put out there can be applied to a lot of different things. It doesn't just have to be soccer, right? But again, it's that human connection, the human connection business. But truly, it's you will learn more from getting out of these 4 walls in this office and even in the stadium, right? About the city that you're in, and not just the big totem pole events, but all the things in between. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm already getting antsy. Only been here 3 days. I'm I haven't seen any neighborhood besides this office and my Airbnb, in North Pacific Beach. So I am hungry to apply everything in that thread in real time here. I think it's going to be hard to do. It might not be as perfect as I want it to be, as it has been before. I think, San Diego is much bigger than Memphis. I think it's more spread out. But I think I'm already meeting, I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to, as I mentioned, DK from the chamber today, people like that. I'm going to really rely on for that institutional and cultural knowledge. And I hope to keep replicating that and apply it in a gradual way.
Totally. And it really is a thing that's got to be one of those questions that's been on your mind, I guess, since you've been following the team, is what happened at the end of last year and where, the club came from. I'm sure it's something you factored into the fiber of the club and kind of who we are. But what did it mean to you as somebody just observing it at the time, who maybe didn't have any intention on ever working here, but just looking at the club and saying, what this is and how it reached you, I guess? Yeah. So not to keep going back to Memphis, but in Memphis. Yeah, we were. Well, every time you talk about Memphis, by the way, when you were talking about building the club, I was imagining in my head just picking up different pieces to put into the right spice mix on ribs.
Yes.
Slow cooking the culture. Dry rub ribs, and then just my brother's wife is from Memphis, and I just think of dry rub ribs.
Look, and because when I first got there, I was like, I'm not going to talk about barbecue and Elvis. Like, we're not doing that. But I will say the barbecue is actually like it really is
pretty excellent. There's a couple places in town that are good, but they're more Austin style. Nobody really does dry rub here.
Interesting.
Short aside on ribs. But sorry, Steve.
Let me squeeze in here because you just saying we're not going to talk about barbecue and Elvis is just like, the club coming in here and not talking about beaches and weather and surfing. Right. It's just pandering, and that's not what this is about. Yeah.
Right.
Tacos. Yeah. Like.
Right.
There's more to us than that. So
I did find,
and we do like
tacos the other night, but anyway, but yeah. So in Memphis,
so the end of last year in Memphis, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So Memphis, we were the first team, period, to ever host a Pride Night, period. So the Grizzlies hadn't done it. There's just no team had done it yet, and. Again, it was very easy to meet like the Memphis Pride organization early on and make those relationships, right? And they really expressed how important like a designated night would be. And I realized the gravity of that and what they were saying, but you really don't know until you actually do something like that. And Memphis isn't an easy town, right? To really to stand out and do something like that. And we did it, and literally, I just truly didn't realize the gravity of it until I saw people, the Pride community in the stands, literally crying. A lot of people crying from they've never seen this external support before, right? So it's something I'll never forget. And they've continued to do the Pride Night. So when you guys took it to a different level in a different way, right? The team is actually now like making an actual point, right, for all eyes to see beyond just the stands. And I'm trying to remember if I think I wasn't. Yeah, I guess I wasn't at the league, but I was still following it. So to see the character of the players and of course Landon and everybody involved, and really just not care about what anybody thinks, right? They were conviction. They had conviction. They were supporting their teammate. That's what you want on a team or an organization or your friends or whoever it is, right? So how could you not want to be a part of something like that? So it definitely resonated with me strongly.
That's awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
It really is something that I think we didn't imagine that being the touchstone of our club or something that we would think about even as fans that would happen and something you'd be proud of, especially as a forfeit. But it's one of those things where, I'll never think differently of a forfeit again after kind of going through that as a fan. It's just something that you said and think. So it's cool to see how it resonates. And it is just something that it's not just one thing, but it's that conversation, as you said, that's happening everywhere in every market in different ways that we can advance the game. And it's cool to see that it's a lighthouse for that and brought your ship into our harbor, I guess.
For sure. And it's important to use your platforms, right? When totally. you recognize the moment, right? So it's important to do that.
And it's cool to be aware of in the moment too.
Yeah.
Tony, we've had you in your two balls corner over here. He's missing his other host. That's why his frame is very wide. We have two balls on his podcast. But Tony is one of our local media members here as well. Does a lot of coverage within our soccer community, not just for us locals and with Loyal. They do a great job there, but honestly in a bunch of different sports. Tony, do you have any questions you want to fire here at Travis, as you'll be annoying him, I'm sure, with media requests in the upcoming future here?
Oh yeah, 100%. We'll get to know Travis much better as the days go by. But again, I also took a peek at that thread of tweets that you rattled off, and they resonate. Obviously, you get it, right, and especially with somebody in this position. So that's great to see. Coming into San Diego, I know you've been here only 3 days, but did you know the diverse nature of San Diego? I mean, it's there's so many different pockets of culture here in San Diego, and a big one is the Latino culture. Have you had to kind of navigate through that? I'm not sure what the Latino demographic is in Memphis. I know New York is a little bit different, but it's a little bit different with some Puertorriqueños and whatnot. But is that something that you have experience with, and what do you see yourself getting involved with in those terms?
Yeah, I think yeah, I haven't gotten to go around yet. Where I grew up in Jackson Heights, it was like, so Jackson Heights is like, if you can Google this, it's like the most diverse neighborhood in the entire world, period. Like I think there's like over 500 languages, all this stuff, but heavy South American population, Colombian, and then there's Mexican, and just completely diverse, but heavy Hispanic. So I grew up, you know, with that community, and then in Memphis, it definitely not as large of a population as here, but you know, I made it important from the start to you know, the Latinx community to feel welcome by us. So we had a great relationship with the top Spanish radio station. Beyond that, with a lot of nonprofits, we made sure our Hispanic players were in those communities specifically, and they wanted to be there. We hosted Pachuca, and it was, I have to say, like maybe one of the best sporting events I've ever been at in my life. And you're like, where are all these people coming from? They're all in Pachuca jerseys. You're like, where are you guys? We never see you guys. So, you know, you see the appetite, right? And the love that they have. And I think here it's something we definitely have to keep tapping into. I want to go to a game in Tijuana. Like I want to do that. Like
Speaking of tacos,
I can't like talk about it unless I'm doing it, right? So like I want to really experience all that, and I'm excited to see how we can tap into that community for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, no, Tony, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, cuando dice que aquí estamos, señor. Estamos listos para ayudarlo, señor. Whatever you need, sir, here we are.
I gotta get better though too. But yeah, like I think it might be even kind of untapped right now, right? So how can we really break in and do it again? Everything we do with authenticity, right? Not just buy tickets, right? Like how do we really make a difference and welcome them in? So I'm excited for that part of this for sure.
There's a lot of opportunity, as Tony's saying, I think, in that area specifically, which I think the club has always acknowledged and wanted to do.
For sure.
It's just when you're a startup, you just don't cover those spaces as much.
It's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot to do.
That I think a lot of us have looked at and said there could be some more stuff there. So so it'll be cool to see what blossoms from that tree for sure.
Yeah.
We're going up on a little bit long here in terms of our actual like recorded format. So we're going to come to a close here unless Steve has one more burning question. You have anything, Steve, you want to fire?
I think I'll just kind of wrap it up with one more question. And
actually, I have one, Stephen, that I'll throw to you. Is how are we going to include
our
New Zealand community?
I have a question.
Specifically, our one New Zealand fan, Nick Duffy, who is incessantly a part of everything. But we love you, Nick, our newest Congress member as well.
Yes.
Nick Duffy. So thanks, Nick, for that question. But yeah, I'm not going to put you through having to answer specifically to one island, or sorry, 2 islands in the.
I actually have a quick question.
Go for it.
Drew, were you eating a root beer float or something before?
I was. I had to mute myself. I realized I was being.
I thought I saw. I was like, that is the root beer float. I think
that's amazing.
Just want to confirm.
It was very clanky.
It looks good though. It looks good.
I had to get rid of it. So it was
root beer. Root beer doesn't get enough love, but I'm actually drinking root beer right now.
I sprung for the fancy stuff. There was the IBC, but I went with the fancier one because I had a coupon. I think I'll just go back to IBC.
Nice.
Or mug, I don't know. That'll be the post show. We'll talk about root beer floats. Steve, sorry, go ahead. I gave you enough time to.
So yeah, final question and kind of final thoughts in one thing. I think it's going to kind of encompass both. Is like. Kind of like, what do you think you can add with your experience, your skill set that Loyal doesn't already have with the community here, right? Like it's a community first club. I feel like the community connection is strong. Yeah, we're not selling at every game, and that could be better. It's easy to say ticket sales need to go up and fan base needs to go up, but like, how does that happen? And like, why do you think that your unique skill set and experience can kind of bring that and kind of wrap that into like, what's your vision? What's your main goal? Like, obviously your philosophy you've explained really well here, but like, can you kind of wrap things up and tie it in a bow for us here on this podcast?
Yeah. I think overall, like again, as you said, right, that there's a lot of good things here. Really, really good things. There is nothing needs to be like torn down or ripped out. Like this is not that situation like that, right? It's just how do we keep building it? And I think one of the things that is important to me and that I think can help take this to another level is figuring out, and I have to learn what this is, but figuring out, where we could show up online and offline where maybe you might not think we are. Going where the silence is, right? What other lanes can we go down? And not in a gimmicky way or a marketing way, but like, who else can we bring in? And, how do we do that strategically? And I think it's still, honing the values that the club is built on, right? But how do we like bring everyone in? Where, maybe somebody that isn't necessarily a soccer fan, but believes in just what we're doing. And it is a fun event too, right? And it is something that by supporting us too, you're supporting the city, right? It's the same. You are supporting local through us too, right? We're just as much as a community member as anything else. So how do we keep doing that? How do we keep cutting through the clutter, of everything else that's going on here? And I think it's finding out, again, just going where the silence is and showing up maybe where you don't think we will.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. That it's easy for you guys to say, oh well, we'll show up in communities, but like the specific like words like where the silence is, that's like, yeah, it's just well said. And me as an engineer, I don't think about that kind of stuff. Like those words don't hit me in that way. Like they do when you say them, but like I don't think about them. You know what I mean? So like,
not on a spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Steve, we know.
And how can we also become like almost like a promoter of San Diego beyond just the club, right? Like we are almost like a reason to come visit here and learn about the city itself through us, right?
Right.
So that kind of angle as well, that's always important to me.
Yeah. I mean, this has been awesome. Drew, Tony, anything else? I'm out of questions.
I want to have a shout out to a new listener, Jesus. What's up, man? Thanks for hanging out.
One of the Chavos members, yeah.
Yeah, Chavos coming hot. Love having them in the section, in the community. Always welcome together. That's always our thing, to drinking beer. Yeah, as he said in the comments all the time. So thank you, Jesus. But no, man, I'm good. Shout out as well to the Backseat Bandits from the bus. Backseat Bandits, as we like to call ourselves. Anybody who's listening, you are. But yeah, it's been really great chatting with Travis.
Chatting with
I was sorry.
We also got to do a show with
Italian was
Travis, so it's Travis.
Yes,
Travis.
we should do that.
But yeah, thanks for TNT. Like, come on. Thanks for having me. Really was a pleasure. I look forward to getting to know you all more.
It'll happen.
And I'll see you guys Saturday night.
Absolutely.
For sure, man. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Right. Thanks, everybody. Tony, play us out, man.
Gotcha.
For everybody, this is Steve, Travis, Tony. I'm Drew Steck. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Loyal.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Sweet.
He was in the office, so I think
Yeah, I know.
Like, I'm going home now.
Yeah.
This was work.
10:25.
I appreciate
Yeah.
Travis hanging out with us, and that was
For sure. That was fun. That's good.
So, root beer floats, best one ever. What's your best root beer float? Or do you have a twist on a root beer float? Have you ever had a Guinness float? Have you ever had it?
I've had a beer float. Beer floats are good.
Not bad. Especially on
beer floats are great.
Pretty good. Ice cream floats or not?
Yeah,
cream soda floats.
Pizza Port and Bressie Ranch, when they did have ice cream pre-pandemic, they used to make their ice cream like in-house, and they would do beer floats with their like stouts that they had on top, and they were so good.
You can get an orange creamsicle beer.
Oh, that would be good.
God damn.
Now we're pod racing.
You guys are mean. It's too late to go get one.
Yeah. Be real good.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah, I actually feel like I should have just had Travis over here to do the podcast. He's close enough. I would have been like, "Hey, man."
Well, he's
over
living
here,
in.
you
I think
showed
he's
up
living
the
in
office.
PB.
In PB.
right
It would
now.
have been a little further drive, but next time somebody's gonna do it from the office, I'll have him just come here. And then, then I at least can offer him a drink. He's drinking whatever is on tap at the office. There you go.
Yeah, unless Ricardo
guys,
drank it all.
What was your favorite bus memory that you can share on the post show, but you didn't have to add anybody on the podcast?
Maybe Flowbots.
The first
Okay.
fucking
Mine
time.
was just generally Nick wearing the Stormtrooper helmet.
Oh my
Using the
God,
off,
yeah.
even though
Yeah.
You couldn't really see what he was doing
That was so
or
good.
where he was going.
Well, Ryan was on the
But
bus,
just
and
enjoying
Ryan
it.
took all that video of Nick doing that, and I have
Steve,
it.
you
I'm like,
muted?
that's.
What happened
No.
to Steve's audio?
Uh-oh, I don't know.
Oh, I can hear Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Drew. Hi, Drew. Hi, Tony.
Hello, Drew. Hi, can you hear me?
Drew.
Ooh.
Can you hear us?
It is
Hey, at least this
spooky
happened
season.
after we finished recording.
That would have been unfortunate. Oh man. Well, I mean, he
Am I talking to
questioned.
myself?
I
now?
mean,
No.
no. Oh, we can hear you. Yes. At your cheek if you can hear
I can't
us.
I can't hear anybody.
Oh.
Flying dead stick over here.
I texted you.
All right. Well,
Oh,
we'll get this. We'll get it out. But Steve, you can hear me, right?
I can, yes.
All right. So, but yeah, no, that bus trip was fun. I actually asked you, like, at the end of it, when everything got packed back into the cars, like, how did you feel this went? You can hear?
Same.
Can you hear, Drew? You hear us? Oh, okay, no. But I asked you, like, hey, was this one better, worse than the other one? How'd you feel? And you said pretty much around the same, which is,
Yeah.
if the first one was great, as Drew is still pantomiming away.
No, yeah, no. I think the bus trip was like the same. I mean, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, I'll say the bus trip last time we almost ran out of beer in June, and this time we have a lot of beer left over. So, I mentioned that I'm going to be bringing that or some of it at least to Stone, and I'll give it out to the people who are on the bus to take home because we paid for it, you know. So it's not just mine to keep. I'm just the one who drove it all
Great
home.
story, Steve. Great story.
Of course, you can hear us now.
I don't think you can. Can you?
I don't know. Timing was perfect if you can't.
That was no. I think,
No, I can now hear
That's
you.
great.
Oh, Jerry, if you want
I
to stop
literally could
by.
not hear you until I said great story.
No, that was a bus trip was amazing as always. The only thing was that it was an older bus, so we couldn't tap into the PA system. But I feel like the speaker worked out. It worked out okay. You know, it was just kind of a conglomeration at the back instead of being a whole party bus. In June, it was everybody was kind of raging, and this time it was kind of the back. So next time we'll maybe make some CDs or something like that, just as a backup. I'm not sure I know how to make CDs anymore, but we're gonna have to dust
I
off
like
some
having a quiet
cobwebs.
car up front for the old people.
I feel like a lot of people up front would have
I'm
wanted.
just kidding. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But
it
sure,
was fun.
Yeah, I guess. But at the same time, you chose to sit in the front, you know? And that's what happens. So
Yeah, but it was
I
fun.
felt bad, but I didn't feel too bad. But yes, it was one of those things we literally should prepared for everything. Tony brought the right cables. We had everything ready to go.
This wasn't working.
And this guy, we showed up and he's like, yeah, this bus is too old. And we're like, cool.
Well, you tried. You give it your fair shot. It was a
We
USB, but
tried.
it like wouldn't work with Spotify, right? So
Well, that and it just they
Yeah.
have to initialize with the device. I think maybe with a
Yeah.
like an iPod might have been fine,
Maybe.
or something like that. But it's just
Yeah.
like with phones now these days they have to like hook into the app
Oh.
the right way and find the
Right.
right thing. So it is.
Well,
what it
gentlemen,
is.
I
But,
I will
the
be
driver
right
was
back.
Incredible.
I gotta
He was
set
the
up
best, so
because I'm being asked to
we
do
have
a
that going for us.
a push up by Chiva. So if you don't
Uh-oh.
mind, I have to do a
Uh-oh.
public push up from our bet. Can you hear Drew? Yeah, right.
I can hear Drew.
I can hear Drew. Can you hear us,
What?
Drew?
Are we all good? Drew, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
Can
think
you
we're all
hear
good then.
me? Cool.
Yes.
I can hear Tony.
All right. Well, I'm going to go set up the camera so you guys can enjoy a push-up from a really big person who shouldn't be doing a push-up.
No, I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Drew.
So was Tony just talking and you could hear him?
Yes,
I can't hear Tony, but I can hear you.
that's weird. I could hear Tony.
It's very weird.
Something's going on.
Something definitely is going on, but it's
Eh.
weird.
Eh.
That's why I was
Oh,
on
well.
the post show. We survived the show.
I know.
That's all that
It is pretty funny. But here we go. Here we go.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Oh, where did Drew go? Now Drew disappeared.
What?
Now Drew dropped.
I
No.
I shook the earth, and he just like. Oh boy. I gotta train because there was an event coming up where I was at a goalkeeper, so I get back into shape. Whew.
Yeah. Man, sometimes I feel like chasing Bryce puts me in shape. Oh, Drew, you're back.
Now I can hear everybody. Now
What happened?
I had to reset.
Got it.
So you just got no context of me dropping on the floor, changing the camera, and doing a push-up.
I knew what was happening. I was like, I'm part of the Chiva and I have a text chain going specifically about.
Apparently, he has a
But-
chain with you, Travis, several other people about this. So,
Yeah.
oh
it's-
boy, what was your
I
favorite
think
part
it's
of
slapped
the
up.
bus trip, Drew?
The one I said at the beginning, the Nick wearing the hat thing.
That's right.
That
Push-ups
and,
go Mind
and
free.
pizza. I don't know.
The
I
pizza
actually
at the
didn't know
bus was
that-
awesome.
yeah.
That
That
was
was
I didn't know
awesome
the
really
pizza had
good. The guy
pasta.
showed up right. Everything went really smoothly, and like the
Sweet.
pizza was delicious. So
Sweet.
I think that just like working out the way it was supposed to was like cool. We can plan things correctly, and they work. So that was like,
Yeah.
a nice thing.
Next year, I'm hopeful that we go back. I mean, part of me is, part of me isn't. But I'm hopeful we go back to that traditional USL schedule where we play every other team in the Western Conference, not just this weird Pacifics stuff.
Yeah.
So then we'll really only have 2 bus opportunities, and that'll be OC and LA. So we just hope that LA, allows fans. Obviously, some of us did go to the LA match this month, October 3rd. God, that feels like forever ago. But it was way too late for us to put a bus together. So I'm hopeful that we kind of have as much notice as possible, and we still could do 2 bus trips next year, one at OC, one at LA. I'm hopeful. I mean, we just got to see.
Yeah. I'm in. I'm on the bus.
Yeah.
Tony and I are going
show.
to. Tony and I are going to Colorado Springs.
Yeah,
Together.
yeah. It's
Oh, you are?
yeah,
Confirmed?
Only there and not El Paso or
No.
San Antonio. Or,
Well, El Paso is like impossible to get to.
it's pretty hard to get to.
I was talking to one of the New Mexico United supporters, and they were like, "Oh yeah, a bunch of us went to Rio Grande Valley this year," and I was like, "You guys are fucking nuts!" I'm like, oh my god.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, for them it's yeah, and even there it's still like 12 hours or like 15 from New Mexico, so
Right.
it is and it's in the middle of nowhere, Rio Grande Valley. At least El Paso, you get there and it's El Paso. It's a city. Rio Grande Valley, you get there and it's just like a place with a scattering of small to moderate cities that are maybe 50,000 people. So it is really interesting, this league and kind of some of the markets, but it'll be interesting to see where we go. This is kind of our first branch out as a club to really travel a bit to markets we haven't really traveled to before. And see how the club plays and see if that is a thing that maybe because it's new and totally fresh, they play better, or is it something where because they don't have the routine, they don't play as well. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Jerry, my favorite color cereal is it's a trick question. It's Lucky Charms, so it's all
What about cereal again?
It's all the colors of the rainbow.
I mean, it's what the chat demands.
It's what
Oh,
Jerry
Jerry.
asked.
Jerry
Jerry's
also
my
demands it.
favorite audience member because he didn't tell me to watch my ums tonight.
that is such a deep cut for us three. Jerry, that's not spelled correctly.
Fruit Loops.
Have you guys ever had like Mexican version of these cereals, or like
We talked about that a while ago. We talked about
I've
how
had a few of them,
Frosted
but I
Flakes isn't Frosted Flakes. It's
Yeah,
it's
haven't-
something
Superitos.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But even I mean, Fruit Loops has some Fruit Loops. But, you know, Toucan's different.
Oh, is he racist or like? how is he different? How is the toucan different?
He has special thoughts about the green Fruit Loops. Just you know.
Oh, okay. He's fruitist, I guess. Against
Colorist?
lime. I don't even know it. Yeah, I guess he's
Limeist?
colorist. Yeah. I have strong feelings about green. Maybe yeah, if it's lime, they don't have flavored sugar. They're all flavored like sugar. So,
I actually
yeah,
asked
for
the
me-
players today what the you know, if there was a San Diego Loyal cookout at the end of the season once
Ooh, yeah.
everything happens, who's cooking, and so
Wait, let us guess.
who okay, so I talked with Guido, Elijah, I talked with Charlie Adams, and get this, I was gonna talk to Austin, but
Mm.
Austin is so in the zone right now. He's just like, you know what? Not today. And I was like, you know what? That's exactly what I want to hear. Don't talk
Hell
to me
yeah.
about my stupid questions. You're in the zone. You're locked in. 100%. Keep going at it, man. But yeah.
Ooh,
So
fire.
Okay, who? So the question was, who would be the chef at the Loyal Cookout?
who would be cooking? Who would be manning the foods, the plates,
Ooh.
literally spinning many plates?
I'm gonna go Zizo.
Zizzo, who was
He's got
actually right
restaurants
behind
and
me.
Zizo's Appetizos.
Yeah, and he actually was right behind me. He's talking about that as he was getting
Oh,
interviewed for Fox
That's
5 today. So I think that dropped today. Drew?
Yeah, he's the obvious choice due to his culinary.
Yeah, I already took that
Roots.
though. You gotta pick somebody else.
I'm gonna steal yours, which is Charlie, because he's all about dishing it out quick. He's like a good like flat top cook. He's just like flipping the burgers over, keeping it running, taking tickets, keeping it going. I could see him back there with his bruschetta. I'm back here on the grill. Get out of here.
I don't know. I also think Corey could man a grill with a beer in his hand for sure.
See, Corey's the type of dude
beers.
that'll
Two beers in his hand.
yeah, like he'll be like, "Hey, I
He
have
would like
these
hold the
ri-"
kid in one hand, have a beer, and be flipping burgers.
Yeah, he'll take a sip of the beer, pour some for the meat he's preparing, like one for me, one for you, one for me,
Yeah,
one for you.
yeah.
Some Dr. Pepper ribs, probably.
Ooh. All right. Well, who said what? Who was the answer?
So Guido actually said himself,
Ooh.
I could see Guido
And-
too. He's a
All right.
fun
Yeah.
dude.
and I'm so
I like that
asked,
confidence.
what's on the menu. He said some ribeyes, some good little side dishes here and there. And I thought, oh, he's gonna go like healthy seafood. I see some seafood. No, it's just straight meat.
Meat
And
to
then I
mouth.
asked,
Meat to
yeah,
mouth.
meat to mouth.
That's all it is.
Elijah agreed with him, and he also said Guido, I believe. I'll have to look back at the footage. I'm gonna put the interviews up later. But I also asked who's the DJ. The DJ one was a unanimous. Everybody said Austin. Everybody
hell
said
yeah.
Austin.
That's easy.
They hate his
Um,
fashion sense, but they love his music.
Apparently, Anthony is a little too aggressive in the mornings with some of his music, to Charlie Adams' disliking of like, all right, Mike, we
Hey, man,
like to rap.
Take it easy.
We like the rap. He said he liked the rap, and I think that just makes it.
So,
It's so good. Oh, that's so
I'm not
funny.
into that electro shit. I'm not into that. Like,
Yeah, so I think well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only player that wasn't there on Tuesday was Corey, and I don't know why, and never heard why. But I'm like,
that's right. Yeah.
Landon was talking, and he's like, okay, everybody beers up, whatever, except the players. And I was like, thinking to myself, Corey would totally have a beer right now.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
He would just be hovering. He'd be getting more chips. He'd just be like, "You got any more chips? Hey, anybody
Yeah.
got another chip to go to the bar with this?" With that chip.
No, Corey's the man. I just feel like Corey's like one of us, but he just is really good at soccer. You know?
Yeah, I think he'll be around town for a while.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, somebody posed a question earlier about who we're bringing back, and the only player I know of that's under contract is Blakey, right? He signed that extension earlier this year. I don't know of any other players that are under contract. I was talking to some on Tuesday, and I got some inklings, but obviously nothing's official, so I'm not going to say anything. But I mean, we brought the core back from 2020 to 2021, and I'm really hopeful that we can bring the same core back here. I really hope so. We don't know. It's USL. It's 1-year contracts. If somebody comes in and offers, some one of our core players a bunch more money to go somewhere else, they would be dumb not to take it, right? I mean, they'd be dumb not to consider it. I'll say that. Yeah,
Rabin's gone on and had a great year in MLS.
Yeah, for sure.
At his position, Barry's gone on had a great year, way over his expectations, I think, honestly. So it's like,
and Jason poses the question: of the loans go back, right? And sure, I'd say, obviously the loans are 1-year deals, 1-year loans, but look who who got loaned back this season. Miguel Berry came back on loan, and then he got recalled. But that was a reloan per se, so it's not.
Versus Guido was a loan, and then he was a signing. So
right.
Augie might end up like that, right? Because Galaxy is very deep, and they've got a lot of different people starting up there, and a lot of money invested in their starting strikers, right? So he's somebody who you could see possibly having that, or maybe they say, hey, we want to keep him with Los Dos this year or something. So you just never know, and that's kind of the issue when these players are under contract elsewhere, that maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. But what I've liked to see is that everybody who has been here wants to come back. So that's a nice thing. I think that there doesn't seem to be any personalities that are want-aways specifically that are part of the core that everybody associates as part of the core. It seems like everybody's still very invested in what the project is. They're about the right age, but you can never fault somebody if they're going to take a gig, and especially with COVID opening up now, maybe for a lot of these players, they're getting opportunities they weren't getting 2 years ago that now they're getting. And they have the opportunity to do. It'll be.
And Jason with another question. Anybody get an MLS look? I don't know if Toomey's quite there yet. He's obviously done well for himself, scoring goals, but I don't know if he's tactically MLS level yet. And I think this kind of really goes back to they love here in San Diego, and they love USL because they're playing, right? I think Colin could definitely be a bench player in MLS. He was a good player at Minnesota. And then he kind of found himself on the bench, and he's here because he wants to play. I mean, I think Guido could definitely play on a mid-table MLS team, but he's probably a bench player, and he maybe sees 250 minutes in an MLS season instead of 1,500 here, right? Like it's very different. So I think that
Andy works with Nate. Andy knows Nate, and there is that too. I think with Toomey specifically, where
Toomey, for coaching. Sure. Yeah, but I think somebody mentioned in the comments too. But I think Yaro might get some MLS looks. He might get some. I'm not sure what his fitness is. I'm not sure. Obviously his injury, but he's been incredible. And I know we gave Yaro he was an incredible shout for Player of the Year because he really started this season lost and bad for Loyal. But I think that was because he was signed 3 weeks before the season started, and he just was getting used to it. But he's been an irreplaceable part of this team. Yeah.
And he started with a different center back almost every single one of those games when he did start initially too. So I think part of that is growing into finding his place, but he's been excellent since he found it, and I don't think you could really ask less of what he's done this season. He's been a bright spot, and again, almost an MVP for the locals as a defender. So that's a lot. As somebody who rarely scores, to be that influential in terms of games and how we play, it would be tough for him not to get it. We had an MLS defender back there with him, and he was still better than him when he was playing with him with Mayer.
Yeah.
And then Mayer went back and was playing great with Nashville too, but Yaro, I think, outshined Mayer when they're on the field together, and that's like, okay, he's MLS talent, and you have this guy over here who's under contract with us, so I would not be surprised at all if he gets a look. The players that somebody brought up, Ben Spencer, I think he never found the right fit, never kind of cogged in a way that made sense, but if he's happy being in that space, I don't think he is. Most strikers aren't. They want to go somewhere where they can try and score, so I could see him possibly trying to find a different space, but maybe he likes what we're doing here and wants to stick around. He really is a great guy. So I'm on Tuesday, and he's just one of the best people to talk to, and just a really nice guy. But it is one of those things where just
Very
for certain
humble.
players, yeah, it just might not work.
Right. Right.
But
He was
yeah,
in,
that's-
and I mean, years before, we signed him, and years before he even had a franchise, he was a stud for Phoenix.
He was great.
I'm not going to say I was like watching USL back then, but I definitely did our research when we signed Ben Spencer. And yeah, he was a stud for Phoenix. He was like one of the top goal scorers in the league. And I'm just not sure it worked out here as far as kind of fitting the system and fitting that role. Augustine is kind of that target striker, but he's also fast. Ben doesn't really have that speed. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not sure it worked out, with him. And then Chiva
Augie's
just
got
goes.
an amazing second touch. Ben is very good at playing it into and holding the ball up. Augie's got an incredible ability to bring the ball in and then move quickly with the ball, which is it's not super. It's super rare to see a guy his size, which is what's impressive I think about Augie being as big as he is. Being able to move like that versus Ben is more of your typical target forward who.
Well, and again, Taylor just said it well too. That Ben's a poacher, and we're not. That's not what we need.
No, and Corey changed his game a bit.
We need a lot more from that. Yeah,
a lot in Reno, and he can score a lot of ways. Corey's a very talented soccer player in many different ways, but I think the way he played in Reno wasn't necessarily the way he scores here. It's very different. He does still score scrappy goals and do his scrappy do thing, but like he is a he's become more of a drop back passer in some ways into that final third where he finds the other guy a little bit more than where he might have tried to muscle it home or just kind of barrel his way in before to where the ball was, just because of the system we're playing and the type of balls we're putting in. So it is interesting to see how different players have different strengths here, as maybe they did. And Ben could go somewhere else and score like 10 goals a year. So it's you don't know, and that's he's somebody our opponents fear. Like our opponents' fans, when he comes in, they're like, "Oh, remember when he scored against us the last time?" So it's like he still is that guy for other people, but you just don't know. But
we forget
another
goal
interesting to see.
Yeah, if they go in and we saw it up in Orange County, where in the dire minutes of the game, you needed some offense, so you throw 4 attackers in at once, Ben Spencer being one of them. Ben Spencer scores a goal in that, I think, the season doesn't matter at that point. And so hopefully.
Yeah, you're right. That changes the entire conversation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It does. That's a good point. It's a good point. If he happens to nod that header helm that he had, the entire conversation's changed. It's a good point.
It just takes a moment. He could in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He could be the guy who lifts us in one game, and then he's here next year just because that one moment made up for one whole year of just like grinding away and being there and not really finding your place yet. So it is always interesting to see how the playoffs makes or breaks certain players, right? And you could also, in the same way, been strong all year, and then you're the guy who gives up the last goal or gives up, the last one, and that will taint some of, for lack of a better word, what you're trying to do. But I think in this group, it seems like they're going to fight hard till the death. That's what we learned this last weekend, which is nice. And I'm just hoping that they, fight as well as they can against, whoever comes up. It's going to be a ride, guys. This is something nobody else in town's experienced with their team in a while, being in the playoffs, except for the Sockers. Go Sockers. But does Trey Muse come back? Jerry, good question.
I think Austin has done enough to earn the number 1 next season. And I don't know if I'd call it a Wally Pipp situation, because Trey was never really a loyal player, but
he was brought in to be a 1.
I feel comfortable enough going with Austin next season. Obviously, I don't know if Austin is re-signed. I don't know if he's under contract. We know he's from here, but I think he's earned that number 1. It seems like if the club goes to Austin and says you're number 1 next season, we want to re-sign you, he would resign. But I don't know that. If some other club comes to him and offers him a bunch more money and he takes that, you can't blame him, right? You can't blame him for doing that. So
I
want him back. I think the point I'm making is we don't need another star goalkeeper Loney. We have Austin now, and Austin has been really, really good to fill in. So I don't think we need a Trey back or a John Kempen type player back, but I we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I have sources that say that he's looking better in his recovery, and obviously he's still here in town. Hasn't really heard back anything from his hometown, his home team up in the Pacific Northwest. But even then, there was a lot of praise to Austin because he did earn that, and the style of play that Loyal ended up going with and started with. Yeah, Trey improved on it, considerably. If we go back to that first game against Phoenix in the first couple minutes,
Sure.
when he gets the ball in his feet, it's kind of like watching Phillip Rivers run. Baby giraffe.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. But and it happens. And if you look closely as he developed with those skills, he did get a little bit better. But unfortunately, the injury comes at a time where they were battling for that position. And so I think
was unfortunate. It was a thumb, right? That was such an unfortunate injury.
Yeah. And for him being so young and him being a loanee and the caliber that he has, it's just the natural trajectory of his career to possibly not be here. And if he is, then great. If he isn't, then it just makes a lot more sense. He's a really young kid and his
Seattle
game
has
is developing.
high hopes for him. They still think that he can develop, and they like his physical frame. They like his talent. He's got great shot stopping ability, but it is just
look at how many goalkeepers develop late, quote unquote late, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's not a position where you shine at 18 or you're bad. You can peak at 24 and be really good. So
the goalkeeper's prime, I would say, is 29 to
for
30.
Brad Friedel,
31.
it was.
Yeah,
Brad
and
Friedel,
it's just
38 was his.
Yeah, if you look at like a Petr Cech, if you look at like Oliver Kahn, like it was just that experience that they get and just that just confidence back there. And I think Austin's coming into his own and he's very, very much flourishing in the system, and it's a good thing to have him as a signee and not a loanee too, because that would be unfortunate if he was a loanee, and that puts that into question a little bit more. Whereas you look forward and be like, well, we can run it. Let's run it back, guy.
Yeah.
And Austin gets better the more he plays. That's the other thing we found out this year. The more last year, what we didn't know was we'd see him in fits and starts, and we'd also compare him against Don Kempen, which is like, okay. So you're uphill both ways there. But I think watching him consistently this year, he kept getting better game. And then we saw it with the shutouts, and now, unfortunately, it seems like the back line has just been not where they wanted it to be, and he's had a couple of fluke goals that, again, probably 75% of the goals in the last few games, he still was in a good position for. It just, wasn't where he could be. And so it does seem like I don't find any way to really discount his season, except for the fact he should have been top 5 for most people in their player of the year voting, because I do think he was that important to the club's success. Generally, it's just one of those things where when you're feeling down on goals, at least in the last month, you don't look at your goalkeeper and say, oh yeah, he's been killing it. But he really has been. I mean, he's kept us in games and kept points on the table that we didn't, wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, and I'll say I still haven't pulled the numbers, the actual voting numbers, but I do know just from hearing from Nicole that Yaro got the most first place votes. He got the most number 1 votes of anybody, but Toomey was obviously consistently higher. When you look at all the averages, so kind of a unique
player. Again, a lot of people just don't rate him as highly. Definitely.
Kind of a unique, we told him that last night. I keep saying last night, 2 nights ago when we gave him the paper, and he was like, "You're gonna make me cry." He was awesome.
Yaro?
Yeah, it was cool, but. I got to pull the numbers, and I'm just really kind of interested to see those. But another question: would Elijah for MLS looks? And I think it really goes back to Elijah. I would say is one of the better left backs in USL, but that also still maybe means he goes to a team like San Jose and he's on the bench. You know what I mean? Does he want to? He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to be happy riding the bench. He wants to play, right? I mean, I don't blame him.
And he feels good here, and he likes being.
Yeah. I mean,
think that a lot of that can't be.
It's different. It's different.
No,
it's
why Guido came back and started playing here. I think.
Yeah,
is partially that he could have probably gone and looked at other offers, elsewhere, and as you said, fought for that bench spot or fought for that space after the season he had last year. But he knew and for him it's home. But for a lot of these guys, it's becoming home in some ways, right? And it's hard because they are in mercenary contracts, but you can't discount for some of these guys that they're starting to make a life here after a couple of years, and especially putting down roots and saying this is a place I want to be.
And you make really good points too, because these people are human, right? I mean, But on the human side, I mean, Jason in the comments just said, I wonder about the money. Like, yeah, MLS minimum is definitely way more than they're making right now. So if they can hop into an MLS contract, even riding the bench, yeah, they might be doubling their salary. And if they have families and that kind of stuff, like, yeah, that's irreplaceable. I mean, you think about these players have a limited, time frame to acquire money, and you never know. Nothing's guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. They go to training tomorrow, hurt themselves, and then they're out of a contract. Like, it's not easy. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about hopping to MLS just for the contract, just for the money.
Yeah, I do.
But
think
there's
players
also the
over
other side of
25
it is the other side of it is, like you said, Drew, like they're finding homes here. They're finding roots and building a life, and it's very dynamic and complicated. It's almost like hard for us to explain.
Yeah,
because
if you're 25, 26,
they're
you
humans, they're
look at it
people.
very differently than even like 20. And then if you're
Yeah.
like 30, you look at it differently than 25, 26. So I think there is almost kind of like a shading line there too. Where are you at in your career? What are you looking to be fulfilled by? Are you chasing that dream of maybe still making it to Europe or something? Or are you somebody who's looking at it as, I want to be a legend for this club, or I want to be a legend in my own way of just playing my, being able to play till I could, stay employed to do it. And that's, a special thing for some of these guys. And that's why they play. I mean, it's somebody whose dad did that for a number of years. You really don't, never really made it through the majors, right? It was always really great, was on championship teams in the minors, but it's one of those things where it's like, you never really make it through. I think what motivates them at a certain point too, it's having kids. It's partially why he hung it up, was just saying like, okay, well, I've done enough of this. Now I want to go do other stuff to provide for my family in a certain way, right? Especially because they were being paid even less back then, literally like peanuts. So it is kind of funny to look at it and say it's comparably, especially living in this market. It is hard to justify, and there's been some discussion in the Discord. So if you're ever curious about that, it's a very vibrant discussion as locals.
No,
another reason to be a part and be a member.
Jason's having really good questions here for guys that were with us last year and ended up on other USL teams. Why did they leave? And I would say most of those reasons would just be the system fit, cultural, maybe some cultural, maybe some didn't get along. But I would say more of a system fit, right? I mean, like Francis Atuahene, he was a great player, but he just never seemed to kind of fit in right with the club. I do know Joe Greenspan. Joe says no. That was fun for a while. He's out of soccer. He's done. I think
He's
that was
just
kind
just
of
around.
It was a personal decision. Yeah, actually, cool story about that. I was at
Joe,
the beach.
ran into, yeah.
I was at the beach cleanup in Encinitas when the Loyal did the beach cleanup there. I was walking with Landon and Shannon. We were just like talking about life, whatever. And they kind of looked up and they were like, hey, they were like talking to somebody. And they were like, hey, like whatever. And I was like cleaning stuff up over the side. And I kind of like went back and they were like, you just see that guy? And I was like, I kind of turned around. I was like, oh, okay, like whatever. And he goes, no, that was Joe. That was Joe Greenspan. He's like still lives in San Diego. He's just like around. I'm like, no way. That's so crazy. But yeah, he's totally out of soccer now. Just wanted to
Being
move
a super
on.
tall, cool guy now.
Wanted to move on. That's okay.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I think it's like, and it's one of those things where it's like he's a naval reservist. I think he's got a lot of other stuff going on too, personally. Like guy.
But Morad
is
is
kind of made sense.
Tarek
Morad's
is
a
up in.
guy.
Yeah, he lives.
He's
in Oakland.
Right? So signing with the Roots made sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
And Clementa, him and Clementa make up the back line there.
Clementa,
which is
yeah.
funny. Yeah.
Those are both their center backs. Yeah.
They got their it's like they. Sorry, Tony.
No, you're good. You're good. I know, like, Irving Parra went over to Charlotte, and so his was a little bit weird towards the end of the season because I caught up with him a couple times. I was like, hey, like, what's going on with you? Like, why aren't you playing? Like, well, there was a will they, won't they? Should I get a surgery for kind of knock that I had? And it was close to the end of the season, so they decided to have the surgery procedure. Then after that, I think with the signing of re-signing of or acquirement of Ben Spencer, they kind of went like, well, I think we'll be fine. And so he, I think, had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And to Charlotte, to be fair, he's scored a couple goals and he's been all right. all luck to him. But there's reasons. Answer, who was it? I think Taylor. Like, who would leave? Dean Spanos. Answer is Dean Spanos would leave San Diego.
Yeah.
It's a good thing his kids don't play soccer for us. It'd be a la the two Escobars. These guys are fucking idiots, by the way. Grew up playing flag football with them. They're fucking stupid. By playing, I mean watching my brothers play with them and just laughing at them because they're so bad. Can't even hold a football right. It's tragic.
One not hold the football.
So, yeah, shout out to Bobby, Bodacious Bobby, aka Abel. Homeboy called me the T-Pain of Scar, or not T-Pain. He called me the Mr. T of Scar. Doing my reenactment of that right now, but it's like I pity the fool.
It was nice on Monday to have an excuse to wear a scarf outside of the context of soccer, because it was cold and rainy. Then
it's finally like getting the right temp.
But yeah, except for today, because today was a day from hell.
What a training it was?
No, just in general in San Diego. Like, I'm not cool with October weather being over 80 degrees.
Oh
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But then it gets like 60 and I'm like freezing. So
yeah,
space heaters come out.
True, or just all your scarves.
Wearing like a headdress. I call this the chief.
I could do the same thing with the scarves here, but I have to put them back, and I'm not feeling that.
Not about that. Yeah,
this is the box of overflow
for
scarves
sure
that didn't make it onto the couch behind me and aren't hung up in the closet. So that's what these are.
You still in boxes, Drew?
No, this is a bin that I keep excess
understood
scarves in, as well as my magnets. Because they're not on the fridge. They're not allowed to be on the fridge anymore. Yeah, all the magnets. Turned into show and tell.
Oh, Bobby Wood next season. That's interesting. Yeah, he's at RSL, but I don't think he's playing a whole lot of minutes right now. So that's an interesting, landed with
Cheeto
the
FC.
former.
Shout out
Nice.
Jerry. Launch
Yes.
Cheeto FC. Follow. I don't know where to subscribe yet, Jerry. So you let me know. You let everybody know.
Oh, Jerry will let us know.
I told Jerry at the party. I said, I like how we have more viewers now than during like the heart of the show, by the way.
Do we?
Yeah. So I told Jerry at the thing on Tuesday, I was like, hey, so your show's going to be good because you don't have two white guys holding you back now. And he's like, you said it, man. Fair enough. Degreen-ified.
No,
totally,
but Nick.
Totally Cheeto-ified.
Nick said, I can't wait till next season when more loyal players crave it up and get decided. I can't wait for next season when Sal Zizzo joins us in 109.
Yeah, that's going to be a jam.
He said,
If
he promised.
I'm
going to hold him to
Roy
it.
Kent, that's the thing is, I think he's going to do this, and then he's
Full
going to
Roy
but
Kent.
now I'm on the coaching staff, so
Yeah.
Or he'll join Darren and Jordan on the pregame show, and he'll be like, "Oh, I hang out in the Tory Club now."
Oh.
And then he'll join the coaching staff because that's the actual Roy Kent arc.
Special correspondent.
I really hope they bring or consider bringing Sal onto the coaching staff. I think that'd be such a good hire. I think just his experience and I don't know. I just think it'd be a really good hire.
Wait, what is this?
Ha 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 ha.
They're gonna hire.
Thank you, Tony, for explaining that.
Who are they gonna hire?
I'm saying I hope they bring Sal on
Oh
the
yeah, I
coaching
think
staff.
he'd be a good coach.
I think it'd be great. Capo
I thought you were
Sal.
saying,
That'd be
I hope
fucking
he
awesome.
hires Eric Winalda as another coach.
No.
Like that'd be crazy. That would be awesome. I want reality television now. Now I want Ryan to film a reality television show inside there if Eric Winalda and Landon are coaching together.
Yeah, Taylor, I like it. Make him wave the big flag. All right, Sal. Welcome. Now wave that big ass flag that's really hard to wave.
Sal's gonna go to the bathroom and then never come back. That's what's gonna happen one
Yeah,
day.
right. That's a good way to
It'd be
get
like
him
when
to
Dad
go.
goes
Yeah,
out
that
for
was fun.
cigarettes, and
That was
then-
fun once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll do 35 minutes and be like, I gotta get a beer, and then he'll
Go back to the
he'll
Tory
be
Club.
with Darren and Jordan, and then he'll be on the post show. And that'll be that. They'll be with the eyes wide shut mask. I don't know why you have to wear a mask. Like not a mask, lower mask. You have to wear one over your eyes, like you're in some All the thing when you're in the Tory Club. I don't know why. Tony can confirm this for me. You're not actually allowed to point a camera at anyone in the Tory Club. That's
Oh
why.
yeah, no, I've been shunned. I've been
I
I've
heard
been
your
looked
shoes
at in
weren't
certain
shiny
ways.
enough. I
That's
heard
why
they
you hang
fined
with
you.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, they said your shoes weren't shiny enough. It's like not a jacket thing. It's very weird. I don't want to get into
Yeah,
that.
I wouldn't be allowed because my hair is too long, I think.
Yeah, if you're not a mayor or a dignitary, it's just not.
actually, like I saw, like I've seen it a couple times. Just like I work for not the Boys and Girls Club, just the other one that starts with the Y. Like the head honchos, like my boss's boss there, and just were taking in the day and taking in the IPAs, and it was interesting to see. And yeah, no, definitely that's the type of executives that like to be within an earshot of Match Day Live. That's why they get those tickets. I don't know if you guys know that. They just wanted to get Match Day Live just in its purest form, just like
Yeah.
straight from the tap. They're like, oh, well, what do
Next
they
time,
have
just
to
come with us on the bus to OC. We were right behind him the
Yeah.
whole time.
Pretty much.
True.
You should have. So your boss's boss's bosses. Is that just like straight up Joan Croc, or like zombie Joan Croc?
I just call them Mr. and Mrs. YMCA at this point. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's how I refer to any of my superiors. Like, oh, like if I work at a motel, like, oh yeah, that's Mr. Easy A Motel. Yeah, that's him. Look at him go.
Tony, which one would you be if you were in the Village People?
That's a tough question. I know which one I'm not because I don't wish to appropriate any sort of
The construction worker, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, it would be the natural fit to be the construction worker,
That's
but
why
I think
I told Nick Duffy I don't want to appropriate his culture, so I don't want to pretend to be a construction worker.
biker equals
I'm kidding.
leather chaps. Nothing against chaps nor leather, but leather on me just doesn't work.
Ooh, that's
agree
gonna be a
with that. I
play.
think
That's
construction
gonna
worker
be
is
a
the most
playoff
fun.
fit. That's gonna be a playoff fit.
You can wear sexy
We
overalls.
if we host a playoff game, you got to wear leather.
Oh yeah, chaps for,
Are you willing to
chaps for
sacrifice?
championships. We'll call it.
You really
Chaps.
willing
Chaps
to
for the cops.
sacrifice that many
We're
cows?
gonna have a
for that?
TiVo of bum wearing chaps.
Oh boy, Travis, get on it. Both Travises, get on it somehow.
Assless. He needs them
my
for the
God.
tail, because otherwise this tail can't.
Would they be orange? Would the Tory green assless
They
chaps?
would be orange chaps.
Okay.
Yeah,
Travis.
with orange stitching, like the
Ooh.
like side stitching.
Chappy.
Chappy.
Chappy and chaps. Yes.
Chappy chaps.
Chappy chaps. Yep, that's
Is he chapsy or is he chappy chaps?
No, so that I don't know that video that Naku put out earlier. The first goal, Chappy like hops over the rail. I was like, dude, oh my god, I love that guy. I fucking love that guy.
Chap.
He is chappy chap chap. Chappy reminds me. There's a character.
Chappy would wear chaps. I know him. He would wear
There's
chaps.
a character in Star Fox called Chappy.
Yes, there
That's
is.
who I think of whenever I
Mm.
think of Chappy. As
100%.
well. I think they're the same person sometimes.
Chappy had knee surgery recently. That sucks.
He did, but he's stronger, kind of like the $6 million man.
Yeah.
We can rebuild him.
Steve Austin.
We can make him stronger, better, faster. We can make
One
him
of the-
yell louder
Best intros of a TV show.
and wear more chaps than he has before. What's the best intro of a television show for you?
Whoa.
Family Matters for me.
That is
I can't
so
not.
random.
I
How
can't-
the
I
hell
can't-
did you make
yeah.
that jump?
Yeah.
I can't not smile when I think about Family
Sopranos.
Matters. It's a rare tradition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page.
Oh my god.
Those type of
Sopranos.
sitcoms look good.
Sopranos.
Sopranos is pretty good. Yeah.
Sopranos intro is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic
It's so
rock
good.
song.
Ooh, Fresh Prince. That's a good shout,
Fresh
Jerry.
Prince is a
Fresh
good one.
Prince, the extended version of Fresh Prince, where it's like 4 minutes and it's literally its whole movie where he kills a guy and he goes to court. It's not what happens, but he it cuts from him at the luggage and then he just jumps in a cab. But there's a whole side story that happens there that we don't really appreciate.
See, Tay, when we do the podcast virtually, I can't control how much Drew drinks. So he drank how much he drinks. He's got a bottle
went-
of wine.
I was there. I went there.
He just
I went
pulls
there.
out a bottle of wine like it's nothing.
Hey, I was drinking non-alcoholic root beer.
That's great.
it's
Yeah,
to make
good.
up for it,
Like
for
a
the
control
liquid
over
in your
Christmas.
stomach.
I had chickpeas for dinner, so this is what happens when I eat vegetarian.
Oof.
I'm sorry.
You have to do it some nights to save the planet. But yeah. Taylor's the only one physically close enough to stop me, probably. So if you guys ever want to stop me,
Oh yeah, you live in like University Heights now, right?
yeah, it's closest. Yeah, between
Yeah.
like there and normal. I'm in the gray area. They call it.
Universal
calls it
Normal
that.
Heights.
I'm pretty much like dead center between North Park, University Heights, and Normal Heights, but near
The seven-
30th.
The 7-Eleven you have around your area is beyond 7-Eleven. Like it's like 812. It's just wild.
It's always fully stocked. Anything you need. Hey, I need this thing?
812.
It's there. It
It's
is.
how much better it is.
It is a fantastic 7-Eleven.
That's excellent.
Cold brew taps ready to go.
What?
Like
They have all the right
Yeah.
slushies
yes, I tried the
that
Mountain
actually
Dew
work.
slushy for the first time there. Just revolutionized like my existence.
He didn't even buy some. He just put his mouth under it,
Yeah,
opened the tap. But yeah, no, it is, it's one of those good, dude. I want a slushy machine just to have the experience of being able to just go straight to mouth slushy. There you go. But one day we'll have our own bar. This is the dream, everybody. Nobody really wants to buy the clubhouse idea. It's way too expensive. But we should
I
have a
like the
clubhouse.
clubhouse idea,
for the
but
locals.
we need a free spot to do it.
We need as
we can't pay San Diego rent for a locals clubhouse.
yeah. I mean, the ideal would be that somebody would open like a restaurant or something, and then like let us have like a backspace that's attributed to that space. That would be ideal, I think. Like Padres Clubhouse, which I think was like, do you remember that back in like the Mission Valley? It was in one of the hotels in Mission Valley, but it was like a Padres themed restaurant where the Padres like lended their likeness to for somebody to create a restaurant called the Padres Clubhouse.
Seos did that with the Chargers forever, right? But
There was that, yeah, but say it was actually his restaurant, but like this
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
some guy who was just like, I'm gonna make it like a Padres themed restaurant
really?
in a hotel lobby, and yeah, I went.
oh, I don't remember that.
It was cool. It was an experience. Am I going to Bluefoot Saturday morning?
What's going on Bluefoot on Saturday? Soccer.
The
Yeah, but who's
European
playing?
kind.
Bayern. Taylor, is Bayern playing?
wait,
We'll
you're
see.
European kind? You're well versed in that, Drew. You've been to Europe. So
Oh, yeah,
from,
Saturday
I've been-
6:30.
from the comments said that you've been
Those
to
are
Europe. I
fucking
don't know if there's any truth. to
Nobody
that.
else gets roasted in the comments the way I get roasted. If I was,
You're right. You're right. You're totally right.
if I my chickpeas were a little underdone tonight, and that's not their fault. They were fresher out of the oven. Everything else was ready. But if I put them in the comments section, they would have been perfect. That's all I'm saying.
Local speakeasy. I like that idea.
Yeah, a speaking that'd be like perfect.
Badass.
Yeah.
I
What's
try
the
to convince
password?
them.
Bums your mother. What's that?
Try to convince Charlie to get Blake and Metcalf to start and get a Nando's chicken
Ooh,
place
yeah.
here in San Diego because it's weird.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I know so much of a restaurant that doesn't exist where I live, and it sounds so fantastic that I'm just
Yeah.
like, this needs to happen. So hopefully, like I'm pushing for it. Like Charlie went on for like 2 solid minutes about what makes Nando's so wonderful, describing the sauces, the textures, the viscosity.
Well, he knows you can get sauces here, right? You can get some of the sauces here. Yeah.
100%.
But you have to have the chicken with it. I'm sure he tries to make it at home, and it's just not the same. He's like, I made Nando's tonight, and it's just not. It's not the same.
exactly how I said it.
We're going meat to mouth. Meat to mouth.
Oh.
Okay, meat to mouth could be a locals TV segment, but
Oh my god.
I think we get a lot of views that we didn't want.
Yeah, you get flagged immediately.
Yeah, probably.
We're here for some meat to mouth with lengua.
No, we're not chanting meat to mouth.
Unless it's like an undeniable chant. Like,
Right. Unless it's
come
like
up with-
so perfect.
like it's just the best.
Yeah. Oh, Drew, you lost us
Oh
again.
no! Where'd he go?
I don't know.
Oh, the boy who dreamed. It's gone with that. This is the perfect time to talk about how Drew has a root beer problem. I think it's
We need to plan the intervention.
that. This is Drew's.
Bye,
inner
everybody.
He's gonna
monologue.
I
wave.
can't hear anything.